So over EDC weekend, a couple of my old friends, Alix Perez and Eprom, were in town to play EDC as their side project, Shades. And we had made plans to get dinner and hang out and kick it. And this was also a good opportunity for the both of them to get some professional photographs because Alix Perez lives in New Zealand, Eprom lives in Portland, so it's hard for them to actually be in the same place at the same time. So they had lined up a photo shoot with someone that was shooting EDC. And for those of you guys that don't know, EDC is basically every DJ's biggest gig of the year, but it's also every photographer's biggest gig of the year as well too. There's probably as many photographers at EDC as there are DJs. So Eprom lined up a photo shoot with a photographer that was shooting EDC, and he asked me to help them find a spot outdoors that they could shoot at. And for those of you guys that don't know, part of the reason why I moved out to Las Vegas was for the rock climbing. So I'm very familiar with a bunch of good picturesque locations outdoors, and I was more than happy to oblige. Unfortunately, the day before they landed in Las Vegas, their photographer canceled on them. And this is obviously a big deal because Alix lives in New Zealand. He only comes to the United States maybe once a year. So if they couldn't find a photographer for this shoot, this was going to be a lost opportunity. So Eprom asked me. Now, for those of you guys that don't know, I also take photos. I am by no means a professional photographer that gets paid to do this. Photography is a side passion of mine. I do have a photography Instagram. It's called Snapping with Edit. And if you've been to a rave that I've been playing at, chances are you see me with a camera in hand documenting underground rave culture from the perspective of an artist on the inside, as opposed to a photographer that's getting paid to shoot the event and sell the experience on Instagram. And just to clarify, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being an event photographer and shooting a rave and getting paid to do it. So Eprom asked me to shoot Shades, and in that moment, a jolt of lightning shot through my body. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was anxiety. And a previous version of myself would have said something like, oh, I'm not a real photographer, but I know a real photographer. They'll knock it out of the park for you. Let me recommend them to you. Basically, imposter syndrome would have sank in. But when this text message came through from Eprom, I just sat with it for a second. And I was like, okay, let's run it. I've never done a professional photo shoot in my entire life. I have no idea how to do a professional photo shoot, but I'm in the season of trying new things and challenging myself and stepping outside of my comfort zone to have a growth mindset as opposed to a fixed mindset. And I knew that I couldn't control the outcome, but I can control my effort. And I was committed to giving it my absolute best. They were flying into Vegas close to sunset, so I knew the shoot was going to be close to the golden hour or in the dark. So I went onto Amazon, I bought a bunch of lights, I bought a bunch of flashes. I don't even know how to use a flash, but I went onto YouTube. I watched every tutorial I could to best prepare myself. And as I said before, I obviously have no idea how to run a real photo shoot. But I just decided to lean into saying yes and be curious as to what would be on the other side of saying yes. And obviously, I was also terrified. I didn't want to mess this up. I respect the hell out of Alix and Eprom. And if you've been to their Instagram pages, you can see that they're immaculately curated. These guys have a beautiful visual language beyond being incredibly talented musicians. I also regard them to be incredibly talented visual artists and designers as well too. And since Alix comes to the United States maybe once a year, I kind of felt like I needed to get this right. So the self-imposed pressure was on. It wasn't coming from them. They're my dogs. It was coming from myself. I knew inherently that if I failed flat on my face, we'd have a good laugh about it. We'd go get some Thai food. We'd have a good time. But the standards that I have for myself as a creative, as an artist, and as a fellow musician, I recognize that I hold myself to these unreasonably high standards and expectations, and I wanted to knock this out of the park for them. And as I mentioned before, through the books that I've been consuming lately, there's a common trend that keeps showing me that a way to move through grief, pain, and a dark night of the soul is to be in service of others. So I decided to look at this as a good opportunity to help my guys get the shots that they need, be in service of them. And once again, I told myself, I can't control the outcome, but I can control my effort. So I had two objectives with this shoot. First, to be in service of my guys, get them the shots they need. And second, was to put them at ease and make this shoot as stress-free as humanly possible. Being a musician, I've had my photograph taken many times. I've been in many photo shoots. And no offense to all of the amazing photographers who have shot me before, but quite frankly, it's been an agonizing experience for me. I really dislike having my photo taken, and that is a video for another day. EDC's obviously their biggest gig of the year. They're going on at 4:30 in the morning. The last thing they need is to come into that gig having done a really stressful photo shoot and being exhausted from it. I couldn't let my guys go on stage like that. So I took them out to this popular rock climbing spot in Red Rock Canyon called the Craft Boulders. And once we got there, it became very apparent that all the lights and the flashes that I bought, they were gonna be completely useless. These two guys were just kind of running around, bouncing around from boulder to boulder. And the vibe was very free flowing, and it didn't really allow for me to set up shots. I had to be spontaneous. I had to be quick on my feet. I had to shoot from the hip. And this actually really suited my shooting style because that's what I do at raves. So I wasn't shooting with the flash. I was just using natural light. And this allowed me to lean into my strengths as a photographer, where I normally play with the juxtaposition between the deep shadows and highlights of an underground rave environment. I was using no flash, only natural light. So I was able to play with the contrast of the highlights from the natural sky and the deep shadows that were being cast onto them from being backlit. And I gotta say, I think we got some bangers. I think I was really able to capture the vibe and essence of what Shades is all about. If you've ever listened to their music, you know it's some of the darkest, most apocalyptic music out there. And I think we really nailed that feeling. It was a team effort. So I just wanted to share this little story with you guys today. Just because you've never done something doesn't mean you're not capable. It can be so good for us to step outside our comfort zones. When we put ourselves in challenging situations, we give ourselves the opportunity to grow. And I learned so much about myself in this moment, the biggest being, this was a good opportunity for me to drop my own insecurities, my own ego, and surrender to the process of just being in service to my friends. Step outside your comfort zone. Try new things. If you've been wanting to learn how to DJ, go for it. If you've been wanting to learn how to make music in Ableton, start today. If you've ever taken a photo on your phone, you're a photographer. If you've ever made a playlist in Spotify, you're a DJ. Don't let limiting beliefs stop you from doing the things that you want to do. Take a chance on yourself. You got nothing to lose and so much to gain. Hopefully this story puts a smile on your face and gives you guys the inspiration to go out there and try new things. And once again, if there's something you'd like me to speak on, leave it in the comments below. Thank you for listening. Have a beautiful day.